Okay. Well, we're just going to go ahead and get started here. So thanks for joining, everyone. We are glad that you're with us at the webinar. We're going to be talking about marketing automation for building products businesses. And we've got Leigh Simpson, the founder of Insynth
Hi.
and Project Prospecta. And we've got Simon Rhodes, Director of Sales for Barbour ABI. Thanks for joining us, fellas.
Pleasure. Nice to be with you, Jack.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. And today we're gonna ask a few questions around marketing automation, specifically for construction, for building products businesses, and how that can really help. We're gonna talk a little bit more specifically about Project Prospecta as a tool for doing just that. And then we're also gonna open it up to questions at the end, Q&As. So let me just suggest that if you have a question throughout the webinar, you put that in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. You've got an option there right beside participants for Q&A. So instead of putting any questions in the chat, just put them in Q&A and we'll get to them at the end. Great. So I'm going to do a little introduction for me, and then I'm going to pass it off to you, Simon and Leigh, to just intro yourselves a little bit. I'm the general manager at Project Prospecta. I joined during the summer, so I've been here as we've gotten it off the ground, built it, see it work, and had the pleasure of seeing it really work for clients at this point. So that's been exciting. But before this, I was working as a copywriter for Publicis, an advertising agency in London. And so that's my background as a copywriter. And before that, I was doing marketing for a couple of businesses, also in London. So that's my background. But now with marketing automation, I really get to hone in on what I love, which is writing and making sure that that copywriting is efficient and effective to really make an impact with the audience. It's very measurable, which is something that I appreciate about automation. So I'm going to hand it off now to Leigh. And Leigh, if you just want to give us a short bio description of yourself, that would be great.
Thanks, Jack. So, yeah, I'm the founder of Project Prospecta and also of a marketing agency, construction marketing agency called Insynth. I've been in the construction industry for 30 years and have been a long-time champion of embracing technology to help work smarter and more efficiently, and help us get bigger bang for our buck with sales and marketing. So yeah, that's what I'm all about, and delighted to be here today to chew the fat with yourself, Jack, and Simon about how we can improve things even further.
Excellent, thanks, Simon.
Yeah, good to be with you guys, and it's good to see some familiar faces on the webinar as well. So hi to everyone I know, and thanks for joining us. So yeah, my name's Simon Rhodes. I'm the Group Commercial Director for the Barbour Group of Products, which is Barbour ABI, Barbour Product Search and AMA Market Research. I've been with the business for over 25 years. So when I first started, we used to send out the ABI data in the post. I quite often go into a client visit and see the leaning tower of ABI leads in the corner there. In some cases, it's still the same, but it's been replaced by a digital tower. During that time, I've also been sales director for Building Magazine and Building Design. So hopefully I've got a good idea in terms of the objectives of construction marketeers, but also some of the challenges that you guys face on a daily basis.
Great. A wealth of knowledge between the two of you. I'm excited to ask you a few questions later on. But before we get to that, we wanted to ask our audience a few questions. And so there's going to be some poll questions popping up on your screen. These are anonymous, so no one will see how you respond. The idea is just to give us an idea of where you're at, what you're thinking, how you're feeling about a few of the topics that we're going to be talking about. So Peter, would you mind putting the first question on the screen? So just go ahead and select an answer to the first question, which is, do you feel you use Barbour ABI as efficiently as you'd like to? So we're going to give just a few seconds longer, and then the results will be displayed. No at 83% is by far the dominant answer. Great, thank you, Peter. Could we get the next question? Are you under pressure to get more leads for your sales team? Just a few seconds longer. Yes, by 77%, no at 23%. Thank you for your answers. Appreciate your participation. We've got one more question here, which is going to pop up momentarily. How would you rate your skills in-house to generate leads from marketing? Poor, average, good, and great. Okay. Average 59%, good 24%, great 3%, 14% at poor. Well, that's helpful just to understand. I think we can all relate to some of these questions and some of the anxieties sometimes around that as well. Feeling the pressure to generate sales leads, and we're going to talk and specifically from marketing, which is probably becoming more important as things become more digital and as lockdown continues, at least for the next couple of weeks. But as things become more digital and online permanently in the future, it seems like it's all trending that direction. Generating leads from marketing becomes all that much more important. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to move on to our next section, which is a little dialogue between the three of us. And I'm just going to be asking Leigh and Simon some questions. We're actually going to start with personal questions just to dig into the background here. Because what you'll hear is that this didn't come out of nowhere. This Project Prospecta and this idea of marketing automation wasn't just Leigh and Simon hitching their wagon to the latest technological trend. It was a response. The reason we're doing this webinar is because there was a problem that Leigh and Simon identified, and marketing automation presented a solution. So we're going to get a little bit into the background of that story. And so my first question for you, Leigh and Simon, is when did you guys first meet and under what circumstances?
Shall I take this firstly?
You tell it, Simon.
I've been looking back because we thought it was 10 years ago. It was actually closer to 15 years ago we first met.
Wow.
And it was relating to Barbour product search at the time. And I remember us having a very spirited conversation about the Barbour product search profile for Contour, it was at the time, because you wanted to introduce soft links back to the Contour website. And at that point, it's something we definitely didn't do for Barbour product search, mainly because our audience told us that we held better technical information on the manufacturer's profile than quite a lot of time they did on their own website.
Oh, right,
but
yeah.
Off the back of that meeting, I thought, he's a sharp one. Next time I meet him, I'm going to have to do some background reading and make sure I'm up to date with the latest marketing tactics and techniques. I think we had a number of conversations over a number of years relating to different products. And one thing that always came out of those conversations was when we talked about Barbour ABI, there was almost a hesitation for renewal for Leigh. And I'd be there slightly frustrated. I was saying, look, you have a record of all construction activity from us. If you had the money, you probably invest £2 million to have 50 construction experts make 1 million phone calls a year to gather that intelligence for you. Why are we umming and ahhing over making a decision to renew? Yeah. I'll let you pick it up from there, Leigh.
Yeah, because no one's using the data, basically. Every year, I don't know. So my sort of background is MD of a company called Contour, and we were specialist sort of heating product business, and every year it would come up for renewal, and regardless of who I had as a sales manager or sales director at the time, it'd be like, oh, we need this data. And I say, well, what are we doing with it? What we're getting out of it? How much business can you actually attribute back to using Barbour ABI? And when you actually look into it, and I ring Simon up and say, when was the last time you're logged in? And you go, oh, you don't want to know this, Leigh. I go, it's about 3 months ago. No, they want me to renew. Right, okay. And it'd be like, okay, this can't go on. We can't, for some reason, the guys just weren't using it enough. And I was like, I so wanted to just like get the most out of Barbour. And you know, I believe in the product. I believe in the approach. If you got all this data and giving it to the sales team or the marketing team, it's like a hot potato. And I think you've heard this before, Simon. It's like who owns it, who works it, who delivers it, and so yeah, I had this sort of torturous decision-making process every 12 months when it came to a nil stage, and every year they convinced me they're going to do it differently this time, and every year, without a doubt, I was left frustrated 12 months later on, but they hadn't used it enough and hadn't got enough value out of it. But it kind of washed its face every year, but it should have been a game changer for our business, and it should be a game changer for every business, I guess, if it's being used properly. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's a great point, is that the information is there. It's what are you doing with it, which was the question and the problem, and eventually you hatched a scheme, a plan. You had an idea for a tool that would do that, and that was maybe a few years down the line. Can you take us back to that conversation and how that developed?
Yeah, so we met at UKCW, and we were having something to eat, and we were just talking about how the mix for marketing channels was changing, but yet how still there was so much investment in terms of some of the traditional sort of face-to-face events, and how difficult it was for people to put an ROI on that. Leigh had just come back from Boston, been to one of his inbound seminars, so he was full of ideas in terms of how technology had moved and how it was inspiring him to change his approach. So I put it to him, okay, Leigh, you're starting Contour again. I'm going to give you a huge, clean set of correct email addresses that are completely GDPR compliant, and these are people that want to buy your product, that are active on projects. What are you saying now for an ABI subscription? How are you going to do it if you were to start again?
Yeah, I've forgotten that, son. I've forgotten you actually got me there for free consultancy with a bit of dinner, fish and chips. Okay. Yeah, I've forgotten that. I had just come back from Boston, hadn't I? And you wanted to know what's the latest from the US. So yeah, it was Simon said, it's like, how do we get the most out of this? And it's like, okay, we got to nurture these leads. We've got to automate this. If we can plug something into the back of Barbour and get that data and process it and get it nurtured, we can generate a ton more leads. We can take all that legwork out of sales and marketing, take it off their plate and do it in a really cost-effective and clever way. So that was the seed of the idea, I guess. That was just over 12 months ago, wasn't it? So when we could do exhibitions, when we could get out and be real people.
Great. And we're going to get more specific into what is Project Prospecta and how does it work. But I wanted to zoom out and look at marketing automation and what is that and what are the benefits of it. And maybe you could take a crack at that first, Leigh.
Okay. So automation for me is really exciting. It's a massive enabler for anyone in any kind of business process. And for me, I like to break down many aspects of sales and marketing down into the constituent parts that make up a process. Now, when you look at it in that way, you can see that a lot of things we're doing in a fairly repetitive way, time and time again. And up until very recently, the tools just weren't there to do it other than doing things, with people. And that costs time, that costs money. So hence 10 years ago, everything was going offshore to reduce the cost of these repetitive, mundane activities. But now with automation, we can use technology as our servant to help us. And this is what it's all about. It's about looking at the things which take time. Now, if you've got a system like Barbour, which is like, was it 1.8 million live projects at the minute, Simon, on the
Yep.
system. How do you physically, with people, get hold of, sort of engage with all the decision makers? If you think of every project, maybe got 4, 5, maybe 10 plus contacts on there, you're talking about tens of millions of interactions that you need to make to potentially get your product or service used or specified on a particular project. So how do you do that? Well, you can't have an army of people to do that. So using technology now, we can actually automate that and fire things off. And that's what automation is about for me. It's about freeing up us to do the stuff that's more interesting, enabling us to make a difference in our roles by getting rid of the stuff which just eats into our time day in, day out. All this mundane, repetitive stuff, it's corrosive. It's a weight on our shoulders. If we can get rid of it, we can free our time to be more creative and find better ways to increase revenue, to grow our brand, to do the stuff we actually signed up for when we wanted to get into sales and marketing,
right?
Talking to people and doing deals and come up with great campaigns rather than having to do all the crud. Yeah, so that's what it's for me. It's exciting.
It is, absolutely. Simon, did you want to add anything there?
No, I think it really is a journey. I think, possibly circumstances are making people reevaluate their digital process and their digital understanding as well. We've seen a huge increase in terms of content engagement for all of our products over the last 6-7 months, because obviously the people are a little bit more captive, to put it nicely. They have a bit more time on their hands. So if you can be targeted in your messaging, I think there's never been a better chance to actually use that channel to put a product, service, or offer in front of somebody.
Yeah, excellent. What are some of the barriers to entry for marketing automation? I mean, I don't know how familiar everyone that's with us now is with marketing automation, but how much of a journey, as Simon described it, is that to implement marketing automation in a construction products business?
Is that to me, Jack?
Yes.
Okay, thought it was. So I think the key to it with automation, especially around the sort of the solution we're talking about today, around automating the prospecting around a service like Barbour ABI, there's quite a lot of skill involved. There's a lot of skills required to actually be able to sort of process map map out the processes involved, and then code all that up into some software to do all that heavy lifting. And then that's just the technical piece. Then you've got the sort of human side of it, which is actually creating the content which you're going to serve to the marketplace to get people engaged. I think going back maybe just 2 or 3 years ago, the technology didn't exist to enable to reveal how people are engaging with that content on websites. The tracking capabilities were really very much in their infancy and maybe not quite so reliable as they are today. So, getting the skills right and getting that right is a big part of it. But the real key ingredient here is the data. You need great data. If you haven't got great data for something like this, you can automate all you like, but you're just going to be sending out rubbish. And I think that's what it seems such a great fit with what you guys are doing, Simon, at Barbour. The time and effort you put into research, getting the right names, getting the right email addresses, make sure everything's GDPR compliant, and that's borne out by the initial results we've done in the first few months of working with you on this, in that, the bounce rate's really low, the open rate's really high, that people see there's an appetite for what we're doing. I think that's, but for me, getting the skills right, getting the data and having the tech, I think we couldn't have done this 5 years ago. We certainly couldn't have done it 2 or 3 years ago, but in the last 12 months, everything's kind of aligned to allow us to make this a reality. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Leigh. Is there anything you'd like to add there, Simon?
No, it's really exciting. I think, Lee's completely right. It's great for us as a business that we can be part of a solution for our clients rather than just being a provider of dirty sales leads as we were up until a few years ago. We really do want to play a part in terms of making the sales and marketing effort of our clients produce much more value and be able to show that how much they're getting for each book they spend with us.
Great. Yeah. Thanks. And there are a few platforms that do marketing automation, such as MailChimp or HubSpot, or some parts of Salesforce like Pardo and things like this. But those are some of the tools that you could use to do marketing automation in general. But one of the what Leigh and Simon, the plan that they hatched was Project Prospecta, and that's the tool that I came on board to help build and get live over the summer. And since then, we've done just that. And I wanted to take this time, commandeer the mic a little bit away from Leigh and Simon, and talk through a little bit about marketing automation specifically built for Barbour ABI subscribers, building product businesses and manufacturers, like our viewers, a specific tool for you that can help you leverage the advantage that marketing automation provides for your business. So we're going to go into just how that works. I'm going to share my screen. And we're just going to look at this, which hopefully this will be easier to follow than if I was just going to talk through it. So Project Prospecta, that's how you spell it, and that's our website. So the first step here is to create the contact. So we pull the data, as Leigh mentioned, out of the back of Barbour ABI. And these are contacts who meet your specified criteria, the type of project you're looking to target, the type of role you're looking to target, and any other criteria that you find useful. We create those contacts in our system, and then we go about finding prospects. So we send out some marketing materials to those contacts, and the ones that engage become prospects. And those prospects, we then nurture the interest that they've shown by sending them more relevant content. Once a contact has engaged to a certain degree, which we can work with you to establish, they become a hot lead. When somebody becomes a hot lead, that automatically fires a notification off to a sales rep who's part of your organization, who you designate, who will then get that email that says this person is interested, and now would be a good time to contact them. And then every so often, generally every quarter, we look at the results after we've let it run for a good amount of time, and then we can see what people are engaging with, what they're interested in, and then optimize the content. And so the first step, and we're going to break it down into 4 steps now, is to identify leads. So the nice thing about automation is that it runs constantly. You don't have to be checking it. You don't have to be uploading everything. You don't have to be mail merging anything. It just runs even over the weekend to bring in new contacts into the system. And then we go on to the nurturing stage. And what we do for this is email marketing, which has great ROI, especially in the manufacturing industry. It's one of the marketing tactics that gets the best return on investment. And it can seem a little bit dated, as if marketing was a strategy for the past. But what we've seen is that even during lockdown, email inbox activity has actually gone up. And this has remained a strong tactic throughout the past few decades, although it can kind of be a sleeper, if you will, as it's fairly traditional, but still very effective. And the approach that we take is content-based emails. So these are emails that are focused less on pushing the product and more on answering questions that your customers have, which will position you as a helpful guide as they are looking to work on a new project that they've just become a part of, and they may have some questions around your services and products or things related to them. And these emails are attempting to answer those questions and be there as these prospects are interested. And these are really relevant materials for them. And so those come in 4 stages. And the stages there are an introduction to your company. And that could be something like, you know, perhaps a list of your products, or a blog that's helpful. And then an awareness stage in average would be around week 2. Prospect would get to the awareness stage, in which case maybe they get a blog there, or a checklist or a video embedded in the email that would explain or answer questions, explain something about the product or business, or answer some questions that they have. And then in the 3rd week or 4th week on average, people will be entering the consideration stage, at which point we may send them a case study, something a little more concrete to take a look at. And then in the decision stage, perhaps we're sending them technical files or a link to a meeting. And after those first 3 stages, people are much more likely to do something that has a relatively high level of commitment attached to it, like schedule a meeting, rather than if that was the first email you sent. So that's the whole idea of nurturing. And it's around that decision stage that people are scoring highly on the scoring system. So the 3rd step is the notification of hot leads. And the way the scoring system works is, if someone opens an email, this is general, but we can customize this per client. But if somebody opens an email, they're given 5 points. If somebody clicks on a link, they're given 5 points. If somebody visits 5 pages on your website, they're given an additional 5 points. If they visit 10, they're given 10 points, and so on and so forth. And if there's a page that indicates, man, this person is really interested in my product, then we can set that as a trigger page, which would automatically let you know that this person is on that page and is interested in your product. So you could pick up the phone and contact them even as they're still on the site. So that's how the lead scoring and notifications work. And then, of course, the fourth step is to optimize. And so we look at what's working, what's not working as well, and look at to create new content. So that's those are the stages, and there's always some questions with email marketing around deliverability. And so these reflect some of the deliverability and answer some of those questions. We can't tell you the exact rate of deliverability because that's down to each individual site and some things having to do with your website and the server at that point in time. But what we can say is that 24.7% of leads who come into Project Prospecta become prospects, meaning they engage with emails. So that means that the emails are getting delivered. People are seeing them. People are engaging with them. People are opening them. Industry benchmark for email opens is around 20%. So this is higher than that. 24.7, almost 25% of people opening emails and becoming prospects. And then the average sender score for the domains of our clients is around 97.5, and it's around 70 that you start entering the spam zone, the dreaded spam zone, which people worry is where marketing automation will take them. But this also reflects really well on the quality of the data that Barbour ABI provides, because it's when you use email addresses that don't work or haven't opted in that this becomes a problem. But these are relevant emails sent to quality email addresses, so that's why we maintain a high level of deliverability. And just a few of the reviews. I saw John was on here. A little shout out to John. He recently said, really happy with the service and the results we have gained from working with Jack and the team at Project Prospecta. And Solid Wood Flooring Company also quickly accrued a number of fresh leads that they would have otherwise missed. So, so those are a few of the points there around Project Prospecta. So just a little bit of an intro. And what I really enjoy, I'll just wrap up with this, is that the process of creating the content. because that's my background, is as a creative and as a copywriter and writing and trying to make the most compelling, the most succinct, the most direct, interesting, engaging copy that I can. So that's, I like reading about that, researching that, and joining webinars about how to do that, and then being able to help clients create that content so that not only do they have the technology in place, but that they have the creative services to back that up and to really fill that with the type of content that's going to drive engagement for them. So that's another piece to this that I really appreciate. And so if you want to,
I think it's amazing, Jack, that we're seeing results so quickly. You know, we've got real life case studies in effect for, you know, anyone that's on this call that wants to look in a bit more detail. We've already proved the case in terms of how well the two systems are working together and the results that they're generating already. So
yeah,
great start.
It is. And I think the transparency behind it as well is fantastic, Jack. Because, you know, the dashboards we're creating for, or not we, you, I'm not taking no credit for those dashboards. The dashboards you're creating, which shows people how many emails are going out, how many are live, how many open rates, what stage they open at. This is a level of detail which, you know, you couldn't have dreamed about as a marketeer just a few years ago.
yeah.
I think that's what helps us with this review process, isn't it? Because, you know, I think this is one of the things that you and I spoke about, Simon. It's like when I said this to you, you said, oh, well, people just don't have the resources, Leigh. They don't have the teams to create all this content. You know, we can create the automation. I said, look, we'll fix that. So that's why you're here, Jack, is to actually create the content as well. So it's a full turnkey package, I guess, which is, I guess, why we're seeing such great numbers so early on.
Yeah, and I enjoy those dashboards too, and I should have included a picture there in the presentation. But at the bottom, there's little dials that show you how many clicks per link, so we can see every link and which ones are getting the most engagement. So then obviously we can rework our whole strategy around that, and so that's what I enjoy doing as well.
I definitely need all those dashboards for my renewal meetings.
Yeah,
You can.
we'll get those to you.
Yeah. Give you a side.
Yeah. So Simon, from your conversations with different users, subscribers to Barbour, who do you think could use something like this? Like what type of client or profile would?
Well, my views completely changed, I'll be honest, given the first conversation I had with Leigh. It was about, you know, for smaller companies that possibly didn't have marketing resource or marketing experience of being that sort of support, that kind of fulfillment service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very valid still. But as I've spoken to some of our bigger clients, I've been amazed by the interest that they have. And some of the uses they've been sending back to me or talking to me about has really opened my eyes in terms of how it can fit into the mix for a larger subscriber as well. So, you know, some of the things they've been talking about is, you know, it would give me a consistency of message around a new product.
Mm-hmm.
It would give me a consistency of message about a product in a new application. It would give me a chance to support an area that was quiet, a geographic area that was quiet in terms of producing results. And I guess also one manufacturer, and I don't know how widespread this is, said it would be nice to do this just as a campaign. So I can go back to the sales rep that tells me he doesn't need this service because he knows about everything in his area. When this starts producing results, I want to show him. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the variety of uses is massive. It's massive. But I think you know, one way I looked at it is, if you're giving somebody, you know, one of your reps 200 leads a week, the expectation for them to use it is difficult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two ways we can look at this. We can say, okay, out of those 200, 5 are your hottest prospects. You know, these are the ones that he or she should be working. They should be on the phone to. They should be engaging with directly. Well, that other 195, and you can split it into different profiles. Let's help them with some automation. So we know as a business, we're reaching out to all of the potential prospects that are relevant to our service, but we're doing it in a consistent way, which doesn't just appear to the field sales team like we're shoveling work on them that isn't going to get done with the best will in the world.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. And Leigh, how do you think this fits with the marketing strategy as we move more and more towards digital?
I think for me, this kind of really just fits in with everything else that you can be doing. You know, it's an extension of your email marketing strategy. In a way, it helps drive your content strategy, because we're kind of recommending that we build some great content to help drive this. And I think if you want to position yourself as a thought leader or a subject matter expert, to be able to get that content out into the marketplace to people actually working on projects whom you would like to sort of engage with, I think that's golden. And I think,
Yep.
you know, blogging's a big thing at the minute. And there's some scary stats out there about blogging. I think the average blog gets read about 3 or 4 times. So you're writing this 400 or 500 words on a blog and it never gets read. And, you know, probably if you take out your mom and your wife or your husband or your dog, yes, please, one person's actually read your blog potentially. With this, you're delivering that content to people who've probably got a use for it. And that use is appropriate here and now, because it's, you know, you're going to send a blog about the case study for your product. It may be a new office scheme to a person who's working on a new office, or your residential block, or whichever. So that's where it fits in. It helps to get that message across, and it helps to really position you as a thought leader if it's done correctly. And I think that's where the market's going to now anyway, is around thought leadership and becoming trusted advisors and subject matter experts. And that's what specifiers look for, right? They don't want to be bombarded. They want to be helped. They don't want to be sold to. They want to have people they can trust to help them deliver their projects.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of conversation about how do we make the most of our website? How do we make that work harder, better for us? As you know, there's a pressure to get more sales leads and on marketing to make that happen. I like Project Prospecta because it actually takes a more aggressive approach. It's somewhere in the middle of inbound and outbound sales, and it goes to them and it delivers the inbound content, that helpful content, just right at their doorstep, or their inbox, as the case may be, so that it's there, helpful for them when they need it. And most of the time it is relevant, because these people have just started projects where they will be using materials or services such as yours. So so I like that about it. We do create content as well. We have a content creation starter pack, and we suggest different pieces, as Leigh was saying, thought leadership and the brand awareness that comes with sending out emails like this is huge. The fact that people will be constantly reminded, and your logo and their embedded in their memory is always good. And so that will be happening. And then if that's positioned alongside some thought leadership pieces, then that helps to cement that authority alongside your brand. And so all of that is, I think, really valuable and really helpful. And that's what I'm excited about, is the helpfulness of this product to build building products businesses. So if you'd like to check that out, if you'd like to talk further, then I'm gonna just put my meeting link here in the chat. And so if you click that link, that'll show you my calendar. And then you can select a slot there, and then we can chat and we can talk about how to integrate it with your business, kind of where you're at with your content, with your website, what we can leverage with Project Prospecta, and how we can generate some leads and help grow your business even in these more challenging times, because it has been doing that. And the gold mine that Barbour ABI is, you know, it's just a huge resource, and it's great to be able to tap into that to find the gold, and to be able to see the return there. It's great. So grateful for your work, Simon, and Barbour ABI for creating that, maintaining that, all the research that you do to generate that, and then also being willing to work with us to create a product that will present a lot of value to your subscribers, and not just staying in that box of we just do the data, but really being willing to bridge that gap to provide usefulness as well, and accessibility.
Yeah, and I think
So,
this is just the start of how we're going to work together. You know, the first point is project information. The second point, I'm sure, we'll be matching this to Barbour product search and going down routes in terms of, you know, CPD engagement or whatever that looks like, whatever the market wants us to do. I think, you know, between the data we hold and the reach that we have and your technical expertise, both in terms of, you know, technology, but also from a marketing perspective, it's a bit of a dream day, isn't it? So
yeah,
good from us.
Just feel like
absolutely.
we just need Fred at the door to welcome us now, don't we? You know. Right, we've got some great questions, guys. Jack, have you seen these popping up?
I have. We are looking to change, so we're going to move on to Q&A. So we've got some questions here. We are looking, the first one is we are looking to change our CRM to a cloud-based platform. Can this be linked? And the great answer to that is yes. And you're in a prime position to really make the most of that, because you can even adapt your CRM to work well with Project Prospecta and the different content there. If you were looking to create some new content, we could chat through how to do, what type of content to create that would really provide a customized journey for people through Project Prospecta, and how to link that with your website so those contacts are synced directly into it. So all of that can be synced and linked, and for, you know, for small fees per month through external services is how that happens at this point. But there's many of those available. Did you want to add something, Leigh?
Part of the product roadmap as well, isn't it, Jack, to get to build it so there's a proper API into all the mainstream sort of cloud-based services. So we're already linking to HubSpot. We're looking at Dynamics and Salesforce at the moment, and you know, as we build this out, we'll be looking to build out to include it to all the main players. So you've got that fully connected, integrated approach to getting this Barbour ABI data into your CRM systems as well, which would be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question is from Chris Ashworth. Do you think that Project Prospecta will reduce the need for and size of sales teams? And I'm going to go ahead and pass this off. I have an idea about that, which I'll share after, but I'm going to pass this off to you guys. Simon, if you want to take a crack.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will, because I think it'll make sales teams more effective. I think something that I've seen quite a lot over my times of working with building product manufacturers is gaining new business can be really difficult, and pushing sales teams to interact on a new business perspective can be quite difficult as well because of very long ingrown relationships. So I think if we can have the ability where we're generating warmer leads for sales teams, we're going to use their time better. So no, you know, in an ideal world, it'll actually increase the size of a sales team because you'll have more warmer opportunities to be having an engaged conversation about.
Yeah, completely agree. I think this is gonna sort of add so much more transparency to what the sales guys are doing as well, because you'll be able to see these leads that are being provided to them. And it's, you know, I've done my shift in sales as well, Simon. So I know what it's like having to think, where's and who's going to be the next call. So if someone's just feeding me leads saying this guy's on your website now, and they're looking at this and involved in this project, boom. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? So yeah, I think getting this up and running properly, I think you're going to be driving a lot more leads to sales. And I wouldn't be surprised if you need more reps in the fullness of time.
And I was just going to say, you guys covered it, but we use marketing automation not to replace humans, but to allow them to be more human, so they can spend time talking and understanding and engaging and figuring out what prospects' problems are and how they can provide a solution.
It's the lead intelligence chat, right? So you're going to know which website pages these people have been on, what sort of what they're engaging with. So you can have a completely different type of conversation as well. So it's going to be so helpful for sales teams.
Yeah. And then the next question here is, how long does it take to set up? Is there a lot of work involved? That takes about an hour. So from your perspective, from my perspective, it takes a little bit longer. But on your side, all I need is about an hour of your time when me or a member of the team will interview the sales rep, who these emails will come from. So they're all sent out as a personal email, because that's just, we're capitalizing on the strength of email, which is it's a one-to-one communication. So in an attention economy where everything is, pay-per-click ads and all these types of things are trying to get people's attentions, email is a good way to do that. But especially if it's coming from an individual and not just kind of a blanket marketing email. So we do it from an individual perspective. So we'll interview your sales representative, and then we'll understand the types of conversations that they have with prospects, and then we'll craft the emails, send them over to you for review. All you have to do is rubber stamp them, send them back. We'll get those live. We'll set you up with a dashboard so you have oversight, and then we'll review each quarter kind of how that's all working. So that's how long it takes to get set up. The next question is, I use ABI. Oh, sorry. It takes about a week for me to get it all set up in the system. So 1 hour of your time, and then a week from there, you'll be live. And the next question, I use ABI for new leads. However, not every project has a requirement for our product. I have to do searching into the planning details to qualify. Can you still help us? I would say that this is a great strength, because if you're calling all of your prospects, that's going to take a lot of time. So you need to narrow it down to people who are using your product. But what about people who haven't thought about using your product, but are working on a project where your product would be helpful or relevant? And so then because you're sending automated emails, you can talk to everyone. And instead of just the people who have listed themselves as using a specific product. So that's my understanding of it. Simon and Leigh, I don't know if you have a different take.
Yeah. Also, you'll be able to use material keywords as a selection criteria. So it may be that it's your material that we're searching through the database for, or an alternative material, which could be substituted for yours. We're going through a huge program in terms of increasing the scope of the research that we do currently at ABI. So don't be surprised to see lots more materials mentioned, particularly over the next few months. And if there's something in particular you want us to have a look at, take this offline, DM me, and we can have a chat about how we can help.
I think that's it's any piece of data which is in the ABI system can you be used as a trigger. And the thing is, with something like this, if you're sort of got your hour or couple of hours a week, you're going to go through Barbour ABI and you're looking for these things. If that lead gets updated half an hour after you've finished that search, you're not going to see it again for maybe another week. Maybe you won't see it at all. But with something like Project Prospecta, as soon as that data is updated, we pick it up and we start the engagement. So you know that's where it comes in. It's just that fail safe as well.
Yep. So Rob Arthur asks, as a sole UK representative for a US specialist manufacturer supplier, adding budget spend to Barbour ABI is prohibitive. Is there a way single users can get entry to digital automation? So you can get entry to digital automation through the services that I mentioned. I think MailChimp does a bit of it, HubSpot, those types of services. There's a few barriers there, because you have to figure out how you're gonna build the integration from Barbour to that service then. And you have to figure out how you're gonna structure that. So like Leigh mentioned earlier, there are some challenges. It's not an easy thing to set up, but I would say that adding budget spend to Barbour ABI, if it produces leads and revenue, can pay back that spend.
Yeah, and also, you know, we're happy to look short term at subsidising some of the cost of Project Prospecta for ABI clients. So it could be there's a case of if there's a proving exercise over 2 months, we can look at doing something where we'll contribute some of the cost of Project Prospecta to make it easier, Rob, for you to go to the States and give them the proof in terms of what that additional investment would bring back to their business.
Yeah, I think get the business case right with this, get some results, and who wouldn't want to switch on a machine who's going to help you make a bit more money?
Cool. And Chris Ashworth, when you write thought leadership pieces as unique content for each client, I'm thinking that you are asking, do we write those thought leadership pieces as unique content for each client? And we can. It's not included. So the base price for Project Prospecta is £250 per month. We can do a content starter pack, which we charge a rate of £50 per hour to create. And that could be anything that we think and you agree would be helpful to include in those emails. So that's not included because that's content. What we usually do is leverage existing marketing materials and use that in the email. But we can create thought leadership pieces if you're looking into that, if you'd like that, then we do provide that service as well. Yeah. And then what if I don't have great marketing content to include in the emails? I think we just answered that. And also InSynth is our partner agency, and they do all of that type of thing. So if you need just some marketing assistance, we can put you in touch with them, and we can link up and make that work really fluidly between the two agencies, both Barbour, Project Prospecta, and InSynth kind of all can link together there. Does this integration include Salesforce Pardo? It does not.
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, so we can't. So asking if we could send the information into Salesforce. So we are currently looking into it, and I think that there are, right, Leigh, some data sync options there that would.
Every platform's got its own sort of little technical challenges, so we're just kind of work through with existing clients what their integration needs are. So HubSpot seems to be fairly popular at the moment, so we've got that one cracked. We were asked last week about was it Salesforce or no Dynamics last week? Or, yeah, so so yeah, there's a whole list, and yeah, we want to make this a fully joined up part of your marketing stack.
Great. And Chris Sutton left us a kind note. He had to leave for a meeting, but hi, Jess, marketing manager, who's apparently still online. Thanks for joining, Chris. Anonymous attendee asks, can you set up emails to come from different team member for each sales area? You can, and this brings us to a great point. Thanks for asking this question. We do different pro bots. So we call them pro bots, and it essentially is a different set of messages. So if you have different areas you want to cover coming from different people, that would be two different sets of messages. And so that would be 2 pro bots. An additional pro bot is £95, but you can look at our pricings on our website and see there's different tiered plans with different amounts of pro bots. So that's something to consider, look into. But that's how you would do that. How effective is soft outreach with email marketing? So it is effective, and some of those stats like the 25% show that email is really working. It's like I said, it's one of those sleeper tactics that people don't pay that much attention to, perhaps. But I think really trying to take a more sophisticated, thoughtful approach to it, not the email blast, not the one-off, just the kind of scattershot approach to it, but trying to nurture. And I think that thought through process of how is this conversation and relationship going to develop, how are we going to nurture interest, that approach is effective. I don't know, I can't say the same for the alternative approach.
I think the dashboards we went through the other day, Jack, are really, really illuminating, because it showed at different stages you get these little bursts of engagement. You think, oh, that's interesting. And that's what's so cool about our approach to this. We want to learn about how to really perfect this and hone it. So the more clients we've got working on it, the more that we'll really understand how different types of customers, whether they're architects, consultants, contractors, distributors, subcontractors, how they're engaging with email and what sort of things are working, so we can get better and better and better. And this is, we want to make this as like a center of excellence for email marketing for the construction industry. And then anyone who comes on board will share all that knowledge with you guys and really help you sort of get better and better returns week in, week out. And that's a big part of it, is that journey of constant learning and using the data to guide us.
That's right. Always making it more effective. Yes, so it's an exciting journey. It's great to have seen it, just at the genesis, but then to be watching it work for our clients. And hopefully this has been helpful for you to understand marketing automation for building products, businesses, and manufacturers, how that can play a role, and giving you some food for thought about how to integrate that with your business, and take some time out of these processes that you could invest in more creative pursuits and perhaps revenue generation or marketing campaigns and those types of things. But if you are interested in exploring Project Prospecta as a possible solution and as something that you could integrate with your business that can do some marketing automation, and not only marketing automation, but lead generation automation, lead nurturing, and all these types of things. And actually, one thing that we didn't touch too much on is we actually track these people where they're going on the website. So that's how we can do all this scoring. So all of that is included, and so you can take advantage of the latest technology without having to do all that footwork, all that groundwork yourself. So it's interesting, you see all these news articles about marketing automation or about AI and the future, and you need to get on top of it and you need to do this, and it could just make you feel like, where do I start? How do I approach this? But we can do that. We've created it. We've got this working, and we're excited to be able to help businesses take advantage of the latest technology. So again, if you'd like to get in touch, my meeting link is in the chat. So just set up a meeting with that. And other than that, I just want to say thank you guys for joining. We appreciate you taking your time out on a Wednesday morning. I know that you've got a million emails in your inbox, lots of phone calls and Zoom meetings to make, and probably a little bit of Zoom fatigue probably by this point, mid second lockdown. So thanks for taking the time, and you're welcome, Rob. Thanks for having you with us, and Fash, no problem. It's been our pleasure. Leigh and Simon, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, I think it's really interesting topic. I think we could talk for hours in terms of its application and how we progress it. I'm really excited. From my view, any ABI subscribers that are interested in looking at Project Prospecta, like I say, we'll try and help initially in terms of that proving exercise from a cost view. Also, any non-ABI subscribers, if there are any, that would like to look at a sort of short-term view of our data in conjunction with Project Prospecta, again, just reach out and let's see what we can do over the course of a couple of months that gives you a chance to prove an exercise internally and start to understand what your return could be. But yeah, and I really appreciate everyone's time. Thanks very much, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, echo that. Thank you so much for your time today, for joining us, and thank you, Jack, for hosting.
No problem.
Yeah, and great to see you again, Simon. And just on a final note, we're offering a 30% off the packages with Project Prospecta for anyone attending the webinar for the first 3 months of. So again, just reducing that sort of barrier to entry, and when budgets are being thought of this time of year, it's not going to cost you a great deal of cash to really give this a try. And so please speak to us, speak to Simon, speak to Jack. And yeah, I think you'll be pleased with the results, because we've been really happy so far with what our clients are getting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll send out an email post this webinar with a link to the webinar that you can forward to anyone that you want to be able to see this, and a link to the website, projectprospecta.com. And so all that information will be in your inbox post webinar. But thanks for joining, everybody.